Have you ever just been sitting staring at your screen and you just don't know where to start? You've copied the code exactly, cloned the repository, followed all the steps, and it still doesn't work. I mean, it would be nice if you knew a bit more about what's actually going on under the hood, but you don't. You don't know this language or framework or anything from a bar of soap. You run the program a few times, just in case the computer responds to madness, but no, it doesn't. And sometimes you aren't even aware that you're asking completely the wrong questions to Google or ChatGPT. Your vocabulary just doesn't match the problem at hand. You don't know what you don't know, so what do? And of course you're busy, you've got a lot of other stuff going on in your day. You don't have time to learn everything from first principles or really figure out what's going on. You just want to get the solution. So what do? And I've asked myself that question earlier today. First plan of attack, find.com. All I do here is copy and paste the top few lines of the error exception I'm getting and paste it right in there. And in fact, I do this so often. Control C, I've got a little Mac shortcut. I just hit P for search find.com. Bam. This is not sponsored, and it does so happen to be opening in the wrong screen, and it's immediately going to search. Wow, okay, it's actually doing pretty well. Yeah, see, it's telling me this is not working. Maybe I should change this. And it gives you a whole load of relevant links that you can go head off on your search. It's just a great place to springboard your troubleshooting. So here you can see it's linking me to an article on Stack Overflow, which is kind of funny because my next tip is in fact tip number 2. My next tip is to ask other people for help. Real, live humans. Wow. In the age of AI, we ask people for help, which again is funny because Stack Overflow is replacing people with their new AI search. What's it called, actually? Overflow AI. Making people even more redundant. Number for real, asking friends, colleagues, other people who might think have some roughly vague experience in the field that you've got this problem. And the thing is, even if you ask a friend who doesn't actually know anything about the specific problem you're having, they might just have that little bit extra experience to be able to ask the right prompt or ask the right question to Stack Overflow, Google. And that's the one thing that you were just missing to solve the problem and get the ball rolling. Actually, what is Overflow AI? Okay, so it's basically just search. But going back to find.com, this site is free. It's free to use, just like ChatGPT. I think they just use ChatGPT 3.5 with some sort of, they basically just flesh out your prompt with a whole lot of stuff so that it gives you relevant coding solutions very fast. And often I'll follow up the prompt that I make with more specific information about my environment. Maybe like I'm on Mac OS X Catalina and I'm doing this and I've got this framework. And just following up. If you don't get your response, like anything relevant immediately, that's really all it takes to get things going. This is all assuming that we haven't yet, no, we're not looking at astrology. So I mean, in a couple of weeks this will be out and it'll change. This entire video will be completely redundant. I'm making this video before Gemini is live, and also we don't even have any integration into our IDEs with like GitHub Copilot or JetBrains, Codana, what do they call it? JetBrains AI. We don't have any of that scanning our whole repos and giving us context-aware solutions. I just use find.com or sometimes ChatGPT if it's more not necessarily related to something too technical. Maybe it's like reformatting some stuff. I'll use ChatGPT. But already at this point, you could just use free AI services and massively expedite your whole workflow. Anyway, tip number 3 is to make a mindset shift, which can be summarized in 2 words. Patience and persistence. Yes, this is cliche and cringe, but it's important to remind yourself of it and what it actually means. Debugging and solving problems where you are completely in the dark is a skill that takes time and effort to develop and get comfortable with. Realize that all the text and problem solutions that are constantly being thrown at you will get easier to digest with time. It will be easier for you to just sift through what's important, sift through all the garbage and all the problems and solutions that are thrown at you on social media and the internet and AI that aren't relevant to your life at all. You'll slowly get better at not solving problems that aren't relevant to you and sifting through the madness. So just realize that it is going to be uncomfortable at the beginning, and patience and persistence will make it easier to start for you to immediately realize, oh, I'm reading through a solution that isn't relevant to me. Skip that. And also remember that you're learning valuable problem-solving skills along the way, so it's not always a complete waste of your time. Sometimes it is. Tip number 4, verify your environment and dependencies. Now, this might start off as just verifying using the right operating system for what's required for the project. But this sort of ties into the whole process of reading through the README file, reading through the wiki, making sure you're following the steps and what they actually want, and that you're not making assumptions about what environment you're running in when you haven't properly checked everything that your assumptions are correct. Maybe you did install the right version of Python, but in this particular environment, in this solution, it's actually using some virtual environment or something, and it's not using the version of Python you thought you were using, and you didn't check, and actually all along that has been the problem, but from the very beginning you discarded it from your mind because you thought you checked it, but you hadn't done it fully. And tip number 5, are we on tip number 5? Yeah, we are, is to debug and get a better understanding of the problem. Maybe the stack trace that was thrown didn't give you enough information to properly troubleshoot. So if I just debug here, it should throw, and I should get a whole load of, go into threads and variables, I should see a whole load of relevant stuff. Here we go. You know, maybe I was doing a multi-threaded program, and if I go into the other thread, that actually had some information that was relevant. But if you're interested in getting some more tips on debugging, I have another video which I will link wherever you do that on this platform. Now, tip number 6 is to compare your code or repository to others online or wherever you can get all of them, and see if you can find any glaring differences. You could also do a folder comparison of 2 separate repositories that are meant to do similar things, and in fact I covered that in my recent video on debugging. And final tip, number 7, 5 plus detach. The number of times I have solved the problem by simply leaving my laptop for a bit, coming back, maybe just waking up in the morning and turning it on again, and everything just works, and I haven't even changed a single thing, is quite strange. Nearly as many times as just hitting good old restart and everything just works. Turn it off and on again, age-old trick. I mean, I shouldn't be giving away these secrets like this. And even if it doesn't magically solve itself, sleeping on the problem or going for a walk and coming back later will often allow you to tackle it from a completely different approach, a completely different angle, and that might be the thing that you needed to be on your happy path. And if it isn't, more often than not, that creative thinking, that different angle that you've taken, will let you understand the problem better, and then you can head straight back to AI and search for a better solution. What can also be helpful is maybe you're quite in-depth, you're quite stuck into something and you just can't take your attention off of it. Write down some quick notes of where you are, or just leave all your tabs open. Make sure that you detach your mind to the extent that you probably kind of forget where you are, so that you actually need those notes. Then when you come back tomorrow after sweet dreams about Java, you will realize that you probably end up being a lot more creative and productive with your time. Just kidding, those were nightmares, of course. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and watch my video on debugging if you think this helped you. And even if it didn't help you, maybe it makes you feel a little bit better that you're not spending $300 a month on various AI subscriptions, because actually the free stuff out there is already pretty damn good. And if you're a clever bugger who's realized that this is the same exception I was getting in the other video, no, I haven't bothered solving it. I just made videos about solving it and haven't quite got there yet. Adios.